Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to the Players of Life podcast with your host, Adrian Hatcher. Today's episode, we are going to talk about 5 players who were injured last season, but we are excited to see come back this season. This list is going to be comprised of players who were out for majority of the season to a minimum of at least 20 games throughout their whole entire 2022 season. So with that being said, let's get into the list. The first person we have on this list is Jamal Murray. He had averages of 21 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal before he went down with injury. Now, we all know Jamal Murray. He is the starting point guard for the Denver Nuggets. He is a key cog and a championship contender. We also know that Nikola Jokic had to carry a huge load last year with his amount of play. And even though his numbers did go up and they were able to sneak into the playoffs, it was very obvious that without Jamal Murray, they were not going to be able to compete as hard as they did the year before. That is because Jamal Murray has such a major impact on what the Nuggets can do in the playoffs. We saw him in his play during the 2021 season against the Utah Jazz, and we've seen him grow and develop into the player that he currently is. We understand that if they don't have him, it will be a long season, even with an MVP caliber player such as Nikola Jokic. So Jamal Murray, get back healthy. Next on this list, we have Kawhi Leonard with averages of 25 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Now, the championship contender that we know as the Los Angeles Clippers haven't reached their peak yet. They have such extraordinary talent, a certain number of vets, a great mixture of young guys. If I can rattle off the list of players, the players I'm thinking of is Paul George, John Wall, they just signed this season, Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, Zubac, Luke Kennard, Robert Covington. They just have such an abundance of talent, and it's just a shame that every single season one of their core players ends up getting hurt. I believe Paul George, if he's playing, Kawhi's hurt. If Kawhi's playing, Paul George is hurt, and it just hurts their chances so much. And we really want to see this team compete. They are so talented and so put together. They're a team in the luxury tax for a good reason. The amount of stars and the amount of talent on this roster is insane. You look at this roster and you immediately believe they should be competing for a championship in the playoffs every year, Western Conference Finals type of team. But unless Kawhi Leonard gets healthy and can stay healthy consistently, and they have health throughout the entire roster, we may not ever get that. So let's hope that Kawhi Leonard comes back at 100% this year. Next on this list, we have Ben Simmons. Now, Ben Simmons had a really rough 2022 season. He had averages of 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. He went from a team where he was the number 2 option with Joel Embiid to a team where he became the 3rd option with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. With that being said, he did not play at all during the entire 2022 season. He's the only player on this list who legit did not play any games that he was scheduled to play. Now, we understand that Ben Simmons was suffering from some back issues that hindered him majority of the year, but there was also a lot of tension and just a lot of ingrown hostility going on when he was with the Philadelphia 76ers that bled into their season. He became detrimental to their playoff chances, and it came down to a point where he needed to get traded. Once he got traded to Brooklyn was disappointed because they never got to see him in uniform. There was a chance, I believe there were reports of him playing for the playoffs, but those reports turned out to be false. So Ben Simmons truly didn't show anybody any type of growth throughout last season, which makes me believe that this season is such a huge season for him. Now, even though his drama is done, you're still dealing with Kevin Durant asking for a trade, the Kyrie Irving 1-year deal situation. We don't know what the Nets' big 3 is going to look like a year after this year. But what we do know is that Ben Simmons is locked down long term. And we also know that Ben Simmons is supposed to play long term for this team. So let's see what Ben Simmons can do for this team. Let's see where the Nets can be. Can they be higher than a 6th seed this year in the playoffs? We'll find out. So next that we have on this list is Michael Porter Jr., kind of a similar situation to Ben Simmons. Now, he averaged 10 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 2 assists. When I say similar to Ben Simmons, he also had back issues that hindered him greatly throughout the season. I believe he only played a couple games, and throughout those couple games, he was not looking like the type of player that was drafted by the Denver Nuggets. Now, we have to understand something. Jamal Murray was already down for the season at this point. And when Michael Porter Jr. started playing not up to the level that we've seen him play, it really hindered and it really brought down the franchise, because no one really believed that they had the type of firepower needed to compete with these other teams out there. Now, of course, Michael Porter Jr. has had back issues, reported back issues before he was even drafted. This has hindered his development greatly. I believe the first year he was drafted, he didn't even really play. And now that he was playing at an amazing level. He was showing that all-star talent that he was drafted for. And the Nuggets are going to need him to excel this year as well. The Denver Nuggets probably have more players on this list, mainly because their main players that are injured are their core, like, starting pieces. And that is an issue. And if Michael Porter Jr. Has figured it out this year and can stay healthy, he just brings a sniper that has the range and the length and the height to compete with a lot of other shooters in this league. So hopefully Michael Porter Jr. will be available for this season. Next, we have TJ Warren. Now, TJ Warren is a different case altogether. He has signed with the Brooklyn Nets this year, but he got injured during the NBA bubble, which was about 2 years ago. He had averages of about 15 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. TJ Warren is a borderline all-star player, in my opinion. The reason he hasn't been able to reach or obtain that is because of the injuries that he suffered. During the NBA bubble, he showed out. He had his moment. He was about to take over. He was showing that he deserved a certain amount of bag, and he also was showing the type of skill set that a player like him was able to develop himself into. I remember when he was drafted, and I remember as he was developing, people did not believe he had a 3-point jump shot. And when he showed up in the NBA bubble, he was shooting lights out. He was playing at an above all-star level, and he was proving a lot of people wrong. So the question is, can he bring a new dimension to what the Brooklyn Nets have this year? Now, a lot is going on. A lot of hostility, a lot of issues are going on. But if we can just take it and make it into just a basketball question, can TJ Warren ball out this year? I truly believe the excitement for TJ Warren's return is valid. Now, that's 5 players for you, but I'll throw in another one because I do want to have an honorable mention. And I feel like this player, just like every other player on this list, was such a great asset to the team that he was on. And that player is Lonzo Ball. Now, Lonzo had averages of about 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists for the Chicago Bulls before he went down with a knee injury. This knee injury carried for a couple months. I believe he only played 30-something games before he went out with it. Initially, the injury was diagnosed for him to be out for I believe maybe a month or two. And it just bled into the playoffs, and then it bled into the off season, and it's to a point where we don't even know if he's going to be healthy this year. So the hope is that Lonzo Ball will return, because as a starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls, when he did play, he looked like he was the engine for this team. They were running. He had such a great passing element to his game that his teammates were thriving off him being the point guard. He was leading the team in his own way. He brings such a great defensive tenacity in your starting lineup that he was locking up all-star level point guards, and just the amount of play and the amount of skill that he has. Now, he's worked and developed his game because his 3-point jump shot looks great. He had great numbers before he went down. Of course, those numbers would look different if he played the entire season, but just in the small sample size that we had Lonzo proved that he was very deserving of the contract he gained this year, and he should be available for the Chicago Bulls as their starting point guard. If this is true, then they can thrive this year and prove a lot of more teams wrong. So, with that being said, that is my honorable mention. Let me know in the comments. If you're following on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. And just let me know what you think of the list. Also, if you're following on any other platform, such as Anchor, Spotify, or Apple Music, just leave a comment and follow me. So, appreciate you guys for listening, and I will see you next episode.